cheap solar power, batteries, and electric vehicles are changing the transport and energy sector as we know. I bring in guests to this podcast who will help you with their ideas to navigate this energy transition. By the way, this episode is also available as a video on our YouTube channel. Just search Energypreneurs. Thank you for joining. Hi, Mark. Good morning. Finally, good to see you.
Good morning. How are you, sir?
I'm very good, thank you. We met more than 10 years ago when you were talking about electric vehicle. Maybe we are both ahead of time. And now you just saying that the electric vehicle industry just started in March this year. Maybe we want to find a
Yes.
more. Maybe at the beginning you can introduce yourself.
So first of all, Sohail, thanks for having me. It's a great honor to be here today. I admire your work over the years, and you have been a big contributor for electric vehicles in the Philippines, in the world. It's been an interesting journey. My name is Mark Tieng, and I am one of the first electric vehicles. In fact, maybe the first electric vehicle business in the Philippines. So brought in BYD E6 back 10 years ago, 2014. And back then, I was looking at some opportunities on the transport sector. And I believe that the future of transport is really electric. And so we brought in one unit. It's still working as of today. It's very reliable, and I'm happy to be able to share that. And what attracted me to the technology is the simplicity of batteries, the vehicle. And of course, there is absolutely zero emissions. And I think that is really the future for our future generations. So that's exciting, and that shift makes me excited. I guess you're correct. We're just way ahead of our time 10 years back.
So what's happening now in electric vehicle? I am part of the Facebook group here. I see a lot of cars coming in, even in the power plant mall. There was a Tesla Model Y, X, and Model 3 all lined up. So things are happening, right? So you are also associated with BYD, right? What's
Yes, yes.
BYD?
Just quick background, though. BYD is one of the largest electric vehicle manufacturers in the world today. And it's growing quite fast. The world is shifting to electric vehicles for, I believe, two main reasons. The first being the awareness of having alternative, improved solution to daily transportation that is more efficient and also less or actually zero emissions. And the second is, I believe, the rise of inflation led to fuel prices and makes it a little more economically rewarding to choose EVs. So for the Philippines, basically we've been trying to introduce or we're pushing electric vehicles for the last 10 years, but there's three main significant milestones that has happened in the last 12 months. The first being President Marcos approving EO number 12, lowering duties temporarily for electric vehicles for the next 9 years. And this incentive is basically letting electric vehicles reach at a price parity with IC. The second critical milestone is the Department of Energy approved a electric vehicle guideline, which basically brings clarity what types of chargers there's needed for standard and also allows the market to begin charging fees for charging stations. Because under the Philippine law, you're not allowed to sell electricity. Only Meralco is allowed to sell electricity. And I believe these milestones enable the opportunity of electric vehicles to prosper for the Philippines, although quite late, but it's never too late.
You mentioned one very interesting thing, price parity. Can you give us some numbers? That is quite something, right? Because globally that has not achieved despite a lot of different subsidies. But you're saying Philippines almost price parity?
Yeah, yes, I believe so. So just quick information. Before I forget, there's a third important milestone there, which is basically allowing electric vehicles exempting electric vehicles against color coding for Philippines or Manila, actually. Manila is very traffic, and basically once every week you're not allowed to drive your car. That's for the viewers. Electric vehicles are exempted. You are able to drive your vehicle all day of the week. And all of these major changes, although small, have a very big impact on the consumer side. Okay, today, for example, what I believe in the next few years that could happen for the Philippines is I think it's not going to be a battle between EV or IC. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a battle of EV and hybrid. I think ICE is just a dinosaur.
Wow, that's a very
That's
strong
right.
statement.
Yeah, I
EV
think
battle will be between EV and hybrid.
I believe so. I believe all ICE will become hybrids, and the choices in the future will be EV or hybrids. But today, for example, the price of a BYD Dolphin is 1,398,000. It's a pure electric vehicle with a 400-kilometer range. Comes with a home charger and a portable charger. And the infrastructure development in the Philippines has been progressing. Started in September 2022, and in a 14-month period, the number of charging stations has increased by I think almost 1,000 already. There's more to be on to get online in the next 12 months. And this widens the range of electric vehicles. 400-kilometer range practically in Manila is way too much already.
Yes, yes, yes. But I'm intrigued. You said BYD Dolphin 1.3 million peso, which is about $25,000.
That's a bit less, yes. So it's already cheaper than the hybrids, most of the hybrids. And if you are buying the ICE, and then when you compute the acquisition cost and the maintenance and the fuel cost, you'll actually clearly see that buying EV is actually way more affordable or has better value than buying an ICE. And
We need,
emissions as a free benefit, you are helping the world.
I think we need Mark's face on the big billboard saying
Oh,
exactly.
no.
I'm just saying, BYD Dolphin, $25,000. What's the equivalent car in, say, Toyota? Is it a Corolla?
I would
Or-
say yes. Corolla.
And what's the price of a Corolla? That will be close to 30% more, no? With the taxes?
With the hybrids, yes. But the gasoline model is a little bit lower. But I think Toyota in the Philippines made the Corolla exclusively hybrid already.
Ah, okay. Wow.
So the more affordable ICE are actually smaller in terms of size, incomparable with the Dolphin.
And what's your top of the range BYD car here?
The next range is called the Atto 3. And the Atto 3 is basically the SUV version of the Dolphin. And it's more or less the same size as the Corolla Cross and the Nissan.
Okay.
And the price of the Atto 3 starts at 1 million.
Yeah, not so hugely different, right?
That's what we
27,000.
hear. Exactly. And it also has a 400-kilometer range. It's a little bit bigger than the Dolphin, has better leg room, has more trunk space, and bigger engine. And this value we are offering to the driving public in the Philippines is really leads to a question of why are we still buying ICE now?
Wow, that's actually good discussion point. Okay, I need to borrow for you one of your car and then do a bit of driving around. Pretty good. What's your sales target with these numbers? Do you have an estimate how many cars are running on the market on the road right now in the Philippines in terms of electric vehicle?
We saw the data. Basically, last year, again, please don't quote me on these numbers because there's no official data coming out from the Philippine electric vehicle market. But from the data last year, four-wheel electric vehicle in 2022 was about a little close to 400. And I think this year, 2023, we are way above already in terms of market. I think we are now close to 1,200. a big portion of that 1,200 is also BYD. So I hope we can continue to deliver and lead the way for electric vehicles in the Philippines. There's also more competitors of EV coming this year. And it actually widens awareness and also gives more option to our buyers. So that's why they can now freely choose which electric vehicle is best for them. So exciting, very exciting times.
Yes, absolutely. So you are saying about 1,000 electric vehicle running. Of course, it starts from a very low base. And earlier you mentioned also close to 1,000 charging station already available, right? So that means easily another five-fold growth can happen with the existing charging infrastructure, maybe tenfold growth. People who will be buying the electric vehicle right now, one can presume they have a dedicated car park, which means they can park their car
Correct.
and get charged.
You're correct. And of course, this lifestyle, when it begins to show the proof of concept, you see now your friends driving electric vehicles. And now you begin to ask, hey, how's your electric vehicle? How do you drive it? What's the range? So, for example, for me, I've been driving an EV for the last 10 years. I live in the north part of the city and I work in the middle part of the city. That's about a 7 kilometer ride, which is basically nothing. But you're in Manila and Manila's traffic is just wonderful. So it gives me more time in the car. Can you imagine today my EV from my place going to Makati and going back? When I arrive home, my charge percentage is 97%.
So you
And
can
that's a
do your
significant-
daily commute with 3% of charging. You just hit the crux of this issue. We have a Model Y in Sydney. My wife also doesn't do much, maybe 35 kilometer on an average a day
Okay.
here and there shopping. She charges once a week. And here we are discussing, oh, 400 range, 450. I'll buy an EV when I have 1,000 kilometer range.
Yes.
Your 7 kilometer journey presumably takes you 40 minutes, half an hour. So you're doing a 7 kilometer an hour. I think I can beat that on a treadmill. But this is the issue that
Yes.
you can do a 7 kilometer an hour sitting in your car, your electric car. You have a 450 kilometer range. That's maybe 60 hours worth of driving, theoretically speaking,
Yes,
if you
yes,
keep on doing that.
exactly.
Will people worry about it?
Exactly. It's really a lack of awareness. I think we all try to be part of the message. So as much as possible, we share this experience and hopefully disperse buyers of electric vehicles also share their own experience. And from there, people begin to understand the value of this product and this opportunity and this choice. Actually, it's all about choices. Why? I think most people ask, why would you buy an electric vehicle? But actually, the question actually is not why. The question is why not?
I think that's a good point, but I think the why not part comes in people not understanding the offering and the misinformation, which I partly believe that is been promoted by the fossil fuel industry in a way that range anxiety. If you're driving 14 kilometer a day with 100% safety factor, okay, 30 kilometer a day, uh, you are asking for a 400 kilometer range, right?
Yeah.
How far have you gone with your
So you've been on a single charge,
Yeah,
done many ways. For example, out of the blue, a meeting in the Tagaytay. These are popular cities in Manila. Popular destinations around Manila, Tagaytay, Batangas, and Pampanga, Clark. And it's just 20% maximum. Go and back. Going to and back. So it's nothing. It's nothing. So a lot of people in Manila will ask you, hey, will your vehicle reach Baguio? Of course. Easily. Baguio is only 280 kilometers. So
I think,
there's really a poor understanding, actually for Filipinos, there's a poor understanding of kilometers because we don't understand how far is 1 kilometer. We only understand in terms of time. So as long as we continue to say anything that is 4 hours away, you can reach.
That's actually a very good point. So your BYD should be marketed as it's a 60 hours driving in Metro Manila or 50 hours driving in Metro Manila.
Yes. I want to tell you an experiment I did. Okay. I asked this question to myself. Like, okay, since I drive 3 kilometers a day, sorry, 3% a day, let me do this. Let me try to finish my range from 100% down to less than 10%. Let me see how far it would go in my daily travels. Do you know how much it took me, how much time it took me on my daily travels to reduce the range from 100% to 9?
3 weeks or
It,
more?
it took me 5.5 weeks.
Wow.
And I realized 30%, oh my God, I can still go to the places I didn't think I could go to. So I was telling my driver, come on, just move the car, just drive it around. Let's see how it goes. It took me about 5.5 weeks.
I know that's a painful experience trying to see how far it goes because during the e-trike project, I remember there was a question how far it will go. And I didn't trust anybody's judgment. We took 3 tricycles and drove around in BGC for 3 hours. And doing BGC, I think the 7 kilowatt hour one did about 90 kilometer. It took us 3 hours, 7 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning on Sunday until it came to zero. So then I said, okay, I know how far it goes. So it took
Yes.
you 5.5 weeks.
Yes. Can you imagine? I think range anxiety is ano lang, what's the right word? Overhyped. So I think it's really the ICE industry trying to hold on to tradition. And I think people are just generally resistant to change. But actually, when you begin to understand what the change brings to us, you begin to appreciate, di ba, doing something for our future generations. I was talking to a friend in China back in 2008 during the Beijing Olympics. Everything was just clouds of smoke when you go to their cities. But fast forward 2023, their sales ratio for electric vehicles are now at 40%. There's a significant number of electric vehicles drive in their cities, and it's no longer a polluted air city. Now, cloudy as a city. These things are small things that we hope to make an impact. So that's really what they're saying, that our generation is really consuming the resources of future generations. And I think this shift on EV is really conserving those fossil fuels for our future generation. And it balances out, paves the way. And I think it's proud to be part of that small step. You can choose freely to be part of that movement to make the world a better place.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this range anxiety has been a real interesting propaganda for quite some time and still continues on. Like you said, your car for your use last 5.5 weeks. That's a lot. It did the extreme. I didn't have that much patience. Like you said, okay, let's see how. I did that in a single day. I said, okay, I got my Tesla Model Y delivered last April in Sydney, and we are supposed to visit a relative in far up in Queensland, 1,030 kilometer. And we were supposed to start early because I did not know where the chargers are, fast chargers.
Yes.
Anyway, slowly we started very late after lunch. We arrived at destination at 1 o'clock. It took me almost 14 plus hours. But I did on a single day, 1,020 kilometer. My conclusion was, yes, the EV can do it. Yes, you have to do better planning in terms of where you're going to charge because your fast chargers are still in some locations where there is no even coffee place at night. But will I do that again? Maybe not. Issue is not, the car was not my constraint. Why I want to drive on a sort of leisurely drive for 14 hours for no reason, 14 or 16. Because we stopped, we had a proper dinner, we had this, that. So I think the message that you are giving, that 5.5 weeks, That needs to be highlighted. No, people need to
Mm.
understand. I get amazed. People do equivalent of walking into a like a large buffet place saying, listen, I and my friends are super hungry. Do you have enough food? If you're doing 7 kilometers
Yes.
an hour and you have 420 kilometers, where are we going to go? Where are you going to go?
Yes, you're right. I love that example.
No, but that's what it is. Like I have a SUV. I went to Dagupan. One of our friends lives there. He said, why
Okay.
didn't you come for fishing? Okay. I did single go and come back. I think with your BOID, maybe, yeah, it will be stretching a bit. I think that's about 235 kilometers. So yeah, it will stretch a bit. You need to have a charge depending on what speed. But issue is how often people go here lifestyle wise, Dagupan for a day trip fishing,
Exactly.
because people don't. And why you want to buy a car that lets you do that every day?
Yes, yes. Actually, I think it's a job. I think it's a purpose. So a typical person, 99% of the time, will drive within less than 100 kilometers a day. And you go home 100 kilometers back. So 400 is more than enough for everybody who drives 100 kilometers a day. So now, when you're the type of a logistics company, for example, that needs to travel from Manila to the Dagupan every day for delivery of goods, then I believe the way to do it is to plan a regular route for those transportation. And in fact, if it needs to be, then you just put a charging station. It's a regular route anyway. Then you go there, charge, and then you go back. When you plan that, you still save tons of emissions and tons of money. But actually, what's interesting about electric vehicles is when you buy EVs today, it is no longer an expense. It's actually where can you find a purchase that actually gives you back money, gives you back savings from the use of electric over fuel consumption. But your use is the same. So I think I would like to say that it's a good investment.
Yes, yes. If you talk about investment, because in my view, the brand new ICE car somebody buys today, say in
Mhm.
the Philippines, the price may be the same or little bit more or little bit less. That will be a stranded asset in 7 years' time. No one will like to buy your second-hand ICE car.
You're right.
When with the
Yeah.
cheaper battery price, EVs will be so much cheaper. So that's something I personally believe is going to happen, because the ICE cars brand new bought today will depreciate super fast. So what's your view
I,
on that?
I agree with that. Yeah. Because actually, there are countries that have begun tremendous depreciation of gasoline cars. How do I say? What's funny actually is the world is trying to resist this change so much that when you read the headlines, it says price war against Tesla and BYD down the prices. So they're saying nobody's buying. They're trying to analyze or judge that nobody's buying EVs. That's why they had to push the price down. But the fact of their matter is ICE prices have gone down much bigger that the market began to buy ICE again because of the price. And then these large electric vehicle manufacturers began to match the discrepancies between the ICE and the EV and to match it and to compete. And the second-hand market for ICE in countries like China is just a huge bloodbath. It's a mess.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is absolutely true.
And then again, if you're a policymaker in the Philippines, you have a lot of pollution already from ICE cars. And if in neighboring China, ICE vehicles 5 years old become super cheap. So
Mm.
unless you create a barriers to entry, those cars will flood these markets in 7 years'
Actually,
time, in 5 years' time, or already they are doing it.
you're right in a way, but I'm not so sure about Philippine policy. I believe Philippine policy does not allow second-hand market or
Oh,
second-hand cars. Yeah.
oh, okay, okay. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. So I think they only allow, actually, I'm not so sure. My understanding is they're not allowed to buy secondhand
Okay.
unless it's commercial vehicles, I believe.
Oh, good. So that's a bit protected then. One policy thing that the Australian government is doing, and many other governments, is giving a subsidy for fleet owners, government or
Mhm.
public, to replace to electric vehicle. And the idea is when these public fleets get replaced, say in a year's time, I think in Australia, every 30,000 kilometer public fleets car gets replaced. So
Okay.
30,000 kilometers, some people can do in 9 months, some people can do in a year, or maybe a bit more, depending on how much they
Mhm.
drive. So then what happens is public fleet gets sold in an auction where a
Mm.
public can now buy. So that means it's a depreciated car creates a secondary market. So that's what the
Okay.
government is saying. Okay, a lot of people will not buy brand new electric car, but they are looking for second-hand electric car. To have second-hand electric car, someone need to sell second-hand electric cars. So
Yes.
that's why they're giving subsidies to public fleet. Have you or anyone working in the Philippines along those lines?
I haven't seen that formula yet. In fact, one of the biggest resistance as of today is also the public utility vehicles. The Philippines, well, this is my poor understanding. If you, in the Philippines, it's like upside down. How do I try to say that? Normally, public utility vehicles will say, I buy EV, I save money, but if I buy money, I save money. So therefore, I have to choose EV over ICE. But in the Philippines, the mindset is different. It's like this. I have 10 million pesos. 10 million pesos can buy 10 cars, but can only buy 6 EVs. So 10 cars can generate 10 million in profit, while 6 cars can generate 6 million in profit. And therefore, I don't look at anything else except the value of my investment. And therefore, I will go for the profit.
I agree. I agree. What I'm just saying, maybe that's why they need some incentive. The public fleet that I mentioned is not the public utilities vehicle. It's more like police department has that many car, government-owned
Oh,
hospitals have that many ambulances, Department of
okay.
Energy possibly has 50 cars. You know, the government fleet that is paid by the
Oh,
Department of Finance. And so in Australia, that's what they're saying. Public fleets mean the government official cars, government officials who are by level of their seniority gets a government car to run as a private vehicle. So that sort of fleet.
that's actually a great idea. I think we still are in the fairly early stages of development, and that could possibly help raise even more awareness for electric vehicles in the Philippines.
Yeah, yeah. Like the police cars, these are the fastest car. If you chase someone, and if it's a 7 kilometer speed, you can chase for entire 5 weeks. On a serious note, I think it would be a good idea. We can also discuss offline to bring your knowledge and create a bit of awareness among the regulatory bodies, Energy Regulatory Commission, Department of Energy, how the policymakers, how it can trigger infusion of more electric vehicle. Because as you mentioned from your numbers, if you already have 1,000 charging station and you have only 1,000 cars, obviously that 1,000
Okay.
charger can accommodate way more charging
Yes.
stations and people can charge at home. If you're doing 7 kilometers, 5.5 hours, I'm just intrigued by your number. With that
Yes.
number, you can charge anywhere, all supermarket and everywhere. Topping up on a 240 volt is pretty good.
Yeah. I think I honestly think that in the next few years, so this government is actually very aware
Mhm.
their intention to go more green. So the Department of Energy, led by Secretary Rotilla and Director Patrick Avino, is actually putting a lot of awareness and a lot of effort towards creating clear policies on how to strengthen the electric vehicle industry of the Philippines. Actually, their goal is also to lessen reliance on imported fuel for our country. And I think these are very strong and clear goals that would strengthen our country. There's also the Electric Vehicle Association of the Philippines, led by Chairman Ferdinand Santos and Juan Paraga. And they are also very much pushing a lot of effort in various industries, awareness, and regulatory bodies. And of course, there are multiple companies now who are working on electric vehicles. That includes charging stations, sale of vehicles, electric vehicles, and also sale of solar panels that complement the use of electric vehicles. And of course, the president is very much aware of this and is also pushing very hard for the improvement of electric vehicles. So I think in the next 3 to 5 years, the number of EVs could easily balloon from fivefold to even 20-fold.
Good,
That's
very.
exciting.
What about V2L because or V2H, right? Vehicle to load or vehicle to house, because especially in say picking up your example, if you can manage your daily commute with 3% of EV charging, of course you have a 97% sitting there. And if you have a power outages and you can connect your house to the car, right? Your average consumption may be 5 or 7 kilowatt hour, maybe
Yep.
maximum 10 kilowatt hour a day, right?
Actually, yes, you can do that. But I believe BYD vehicles have a maximum of 3 kilowatt as V2L. So V2L 3 kilowatt, you can actually turn on your computer, get your Wi-Fi on, make coffee, turn on the air conditioner. Actually, you can.
3 kilowatt is
So
enough.
that's a lot.
If you do not run a heating system or a big air conditioner,
Yeah,
3 kilowatt, I think,
that's
can
a lot.
run the whole household, right?
Yes, yes, correct, correct.
For the listeners, 3 kilowatt in absolute theory is 130 kilowatt light bulb, no? A 30-watt light bulb.
Yes,
100
yes,
light
exactly.
bulbs is a lot, like 30-watt LED now. So you can run an entire huge public lighting system, right?
Yes. So imagine how many phone chargers can you charge with 3 kilowatt?
Entire village. Maximum charge is 5 watt, right?
I
One
so
kilowatt
if you
is
have
200. So 3 kilowatt is 600 of them.
exactly. That's a lot of phones.
Yeah, it'd be fun to go to like a concert or outdoor concert. You park your BYD and get up saying, hey, anybody needs a charge? I invite everybody to get your top up from my car.
So I'll tell you a short story I had with a client of mine. So a client of mine bought BYD Tank. BYD Tank is one of our premium models. It has a 600-kilometer range. It has a 550 horsepower all-time four-wheel drive. It will run in 0 to 100 in less than 5 seconds. So it's like a sports car SUV, and you can go anywhere on the street. So a client of mine bought this vehicle, and she is actually like a celebrity. So if you're a celebrity, your work time is very erratic. So sometimes you have a short window of rest. And that short window of rest, normally people buy the big van with the CR inside so they can sleep, do their quick rest before they go back to their work. Now that she uses an EV, during this short window of time, she would go to her car and then hit the front seat down. And actually, the front seat of the BYD has a massage seat.
Ooh, nice.
So you're sitting there, spending zero emissions, lying down on your private car, having a massage. And you're not bothering anyone. There's no sound, no vibration, there's no emissions that you are emitting, standing in your car, being cool, getting yourself cooled and rested. So these experiences widen the function of what electric vehicle potential. So actually, electric vehicles are your second home. It's actually a mobile. So imagine that level of comfort Anywhere you go, you can actually rest in your car.
And this BYD Tang is also part of the duties exemption in the country.
Correct.
So what's
Yes.
the price of that car here?
This one is 3,321,000.
Wow, you're very precise. So that's like a $75,000 or less.
About 60. That's about 60,000 US.
Yeah, okay, that's a nice car. 500-kilometer range. Wow.
600.
So that
600.
will last based on your earlier calculation, maybe 2 months.
Yes. Yes. So actually exciting times for the entire world, I think. It's exciting times. I remember when I was young, there was a story about a frog being boiled slowly. And when you have a frog and you put the frog in boiling water, it will jump out. However, when you put a frog in this kind of water that will boil slowly, it's too late. So I think we are in very interesting times. I think there's a ongoing large tectonic shifts happening in the transport industry. And probably the frog is going to get more very soon.
Oh dear. And I hope the
Yes.
frog is not the customer in this context.
Oh, definitely not. The customer is the one winning.
Now, I think if the frog is the ICE vehicles, then I think that analogy is they're just hoping that as the temperature rises, like the frog adjusts body temperature to match the outside, it doesn't look so. If the ICE industry is thinking electric vehicle is going to go away,
Hmm.
and then one day, yeah, I can see that happening. And that was one of the reasons why I started the podcast, that so much misinformation, propaganda
Hmm.
that goes on against electric vehicle. There need to be some sort of real stories brought
Hmm.
in to the discussion. When I posted my first long trip of 1,020 kilometers on LinkedIn, I was surprised.
Hmm.
Within a week, I had 180,000 views and almost like a
Wow.
thousand comments. I said, what's going on? But then I realized that people who trust your judgment, people know you, then people say, okay, I trust that Mark said 5.5 weeks that until it came
Hmm.
to down, as opposed to reading on the media, because media is flooded with manipulators. And because of now even AI, people can write nice stories without knowing what they're writing.
Yes. Yes. Understand. Understood. Interesting.
So what you tell Mark, a wannabe entrepreneur on EVs, you just mentioned that the market will grow by 20 times. Where should they start? What should they
Well,
do?
I think entrepreneurs have the innate ability to find value. And if they are able to convert that value and change that value, and when you offer that value to a customer in exchange for a price, and that becomes the
Product.
work. Yeah, the work or the product or service of an entrepreneur. So there are many ways in this ongoing change that we can find value. One way is to raise awareness of electric vehicles. That's already tremendous value in itself. If you are a type of entrepreneur who has the ability to connect to a lot of people, and that value you can use to share, raise awareness of electric vehicles. And if you, for example, are in technology, you are familiar with electricity, amperes, kilowatt, volt, diba? And all of these very technical stuff. And then you can actually understand that there is also a shift from this fuel energy going into electric energy. And more people will go into charging stations. And then from there, you can also connect that there's going to be state billing systems, load sharing, EV sharing. When you find that niche, the one you love, passionate about, I think you'll never need to work a day in your life again.
Wow, that's nice. So I think what you said in the beginning, that it's a time in the Philippines that EV is not why, it's why not, right?
Why not? Yes, exactly.
Do you want to add any
So
more comments or anything I could have asked you?
I have to give tremendous acknowledgement to you, Sohil. Your work, although di ba, this happened 10 years back, these contributions are all part of today. So I think those are unsung heroes that, that had tremendous impact on better world we're all going for or we're all wishing for. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Energypreneurs. If you enjoyed this, don't forget the full video is on YouTube. Just search Energypreneurs. Thank you. See you next time.